Now we're going to reinstall the mainspring barrel bridge. Locate the mainspring barrel bridge over the center wheel pivot and the mainspring barrel arbor. Reinstall the 2 plate screws, there may be 3. Snug securely. Before we reinstall the winding wheels, we want to lubricate the mainspring barrel arbor and the crown wheel arbor. Install the crown wheel, followed by the winding wheel or the ratchet wheel. Lubricate the inside of the crown wheel hub. Insert the crown wheel hub. Lubricate inside where the screw rides. And reinstall the crown wheel screw. Remember, this screw must be turned to the left in order to tighten it. Before we reinstall the motion works, we want to lubricate the center shaft. Next, install the cannon pinion. Gently press it into place. Now, the minute wheel and the minute wheel bridge. Reinstall the 2 screws. And finally, reinstall the hour wheel, followed by the dowel washer. With an oiler, lightly lubricate each one of the jewels. Don't forget the top of the mainspring barrel arbor. Now we can get started reinstalling the setting works. First to go in is the clutch lever. Make sure it engages the notch on the clutch, followed by the screw. Make sure the pin goes inside the notch on the clutch lever. Next, install the setting spring. Followed by the screw, and secure it snugly. To reinstall the dowel, locate the 4th pivot. Align the 4th pivot with the hole in the 2nd stile and snug the 3 screws around the rim of the watch. Do not over tighten these screws as it will crack the dial. Now we can start reassembling the balance cock. First, loosen the hairspring stud screw. Next, locate the hairspring stud. Align it with the hole in the balance cock and gently insert the hairspring stud back into the hole. Snug the hairspring screw down to secure it. We're ready to install the balance wheel and the balance cock back into the watch. You want to align the roller jewel so that it lines up with the opening in the fork. You may have to gently rotate the balance wheel to make sure that the roller jewel goes into the opening in the fork. Next, tighten the screw on the balance cock. and finish up with Radico to remove our fingerprints off the back of the movement. In order to recase the movement, we first need to install the 2 case screws. Leave these loose. Align the flat sides to the side of the case. Next, insert the movement into the ring, aligning the winding hole with the winding stem. And finally, secure the case screws so that the watch does not move in the case. As you close the case, rotate the crown back and forth so that the winding stem will align itself with the hole in the movement. Before we reinstall the hands, take Radico to remove any fingerprints off the dial. First, we'll install the second hand, which goes on the 4th pivot. Gently press it into place. Next, align the hour hand with the numeral 3. And using a tool called a hand pusher, gently press it into place. Do not worry if it's not exactly aligned with the 3. Next, install the minute hand, align it with the 12, and push it home with the hand pusher. Check for interference between the hands to make sure that they're not going to hang up on each other. Be especially cautious at the 6:30 position when all 3 hands are in the same part of the dial. If the hands are not parallel with each other, you can adjust them using the hand pusher. Go ahead and wind the watch fully and it should begin to run. As you can see, if you follow the instructions, your watch should run just like this one. Good job. Now the only thing left to do is to reattach the bezel. Now, while you relax and get something to drink, we would like to introduce you to some of our sponsors. For this part of the tape, we're going to use an 18 size Elgin open-faced watch. Start by removing the bezel, turning it in a counterclockwise rotation. We're going to use a tool called a hand puller to remove the hands. To remove the hands, take the hand puller, insert the jaws underneath the hands, squeeze gently on the sides of the hand puller, and the hand should pop off. Do not remove the second hand at this time. To remove the back, unscrew it in a counterclockwise rotation and set it aside. To remove the movement from the case, we need to first locate and remove the 2 case screws. Note that on this movement, one of the screws is a half head screw, so it only has to be turned half a rotation until the flat side lines up with the case in order to release it. Pull the stem into the setting position, which will release the movement from the case.